I'm Jeffrey Giordano, Republican candidate for Miami-Dade County Sheriff. I was recently contacted by a community leader, Sami SAATI, who had some tough questions for me about why I wanted to become sheriff of Miami-Dade County. So instead of answering those questions, I invited him in person to come here and have a sit-down with him. George, welcome. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your relationship to the community?
Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here with Jeff Giordano. He's the candidate to become the sheriff. And the sheriff is going to be very important. It's going to have to take care of so many people. It's a big city, growing fast. So we have 17 candidates. I have some questions because it's important to me, to my family, and to your families that we have a good man as the leader of our community. So I want to know from Jeff, my first question is, why do you want to become a sheriff? What's in there? Prestige, money, everybody wants to say they want to help the community. Why do you want? What's your purpose? Why do you want to become a leader of the community?
Well, my purpose that I want to become sheriff, first of all, it's not about the money. I made a commitment my first year that I will donate half my salary to Tunnel to Towers. That's an organization that helps veterans and police officers. Secondly, it's the highest achievement of any law enforcement officer's career to be the head of a department. And since this is going to be voted on for the first time since 1966 by the people, it's not a political appointment. What a better opportunity to run for sheriff. Additionally, I see the hatred that's going on throughout the United States, the hatred with community and the hatred with police officers, against police officers. And I want to be able to leave this earth with a footprint, and that footprint is bringing love back to the police department and back to the community.
People want to know, since we have 17 candidates, what makes you think that you're the best candidate? Why should we vote for you? Give us a good reason. I heard you. What you said was very good, but we want more.
Well, I'm surprised there's not more candidates. 17 candidates, only 17 people that want to make a difference in Dade County. I think I would be happy if there were 50 or 100 candidates that we could weed out. What I am against is Miami-Dade County, when you're running for any office, is there a qualifying amount that you have to pay to get in the qualifying stage? Or you need 20 or 30,000 signatures, which is virtually impossible because you have to get those signatures verified. So you have good people that are in the inner city that don't have money, that may be great leaders, commissioners, mayors, even maybe sheriff, but they don't allow because they don't have the money to get in the race. I think that 17 candidates, all of us are in there for a good reason. All of us are in there to fight for justice. But if you look at a lot of the candidates, some of them are in leadership positions already within the county. And the way I look at it, if nothing changes, nothing changes. We need change. I'm the man that can bring change. I'm the one that comes with innovative ideas, and I'm the one that wants to bring love not only to the citizens, but to the police officers and get the respect back that we need. And I have the formula to do that. And I see what's going on in schools throughout the U.S., active shooters, and that's my number one priority, George. I'm going to put a stop to that. And I have the platform to do it.
But okay, will you, first of all, I want to ask you, will you fight crimes? Every police officer say, and every leader say they will fight crimes. But corruption is very important too for the city. There are too many corrupt people here. Everything, there are a bunch of crooks, legalized crooks. And you go, big companies are stealing the people, the consumer, HOAs, fraud. You have to pay more and more every day. Will you investigate those things? And will you arrest them? Will you put them in jail for the people? People are very unhappy because everywhere you go now, most of the companies, a lot of big companies, they have a license to steal. It's legal. They legalize crime in this country. You can, as long as you are a legalized crook, you are all right. But if you're a little crook, they put you in jail. Are you going to go after the big guys? That's the question.
Well, George, that doesn't even need to be said. I'm going to be a sheriff of law and order. Whatever laws are in the books, we're going to enforce. We're going to take everything serious. If you go to my website, Giordano4sheriff.com, you'll see some investigations I did with my private investigation company on HOA fraud. And I've submitted them to the state attorney's office for review. The problem rises when we do all this work and we investigate commissioners or mayors or politicians that we see wrongdoing is being done, and we investigate HOA fraud and we hand them the investigation to the state attorney's office, but they turn a blind eye to it. That leaves us powerless. We can do all the investigations we want, we can make all the arrests we want, but if we don't have the state attorney's office standing behind us, all that work is for nothing. So I plan to get a good relationship with the state attorney's office. I want them to be part of our team and go out there to investigate this HOA fraud, to be part of investigating into these politicians that are doing wrongdoing. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of the candidates are out there talking like if you have mayors and commissioners committing armed robberies and home invasion robberies. There's a lot of them that are good people, and they're here to help the community, just like the sheriff candidates. We want to help the community, and I want to help the community. So we're going to have that zero tolerance on law. We're going to funnel in all complaints, and we're going to see if there's merit to hold an investigation toward.
I was very surprised to hear you talk about Professor Leo Buscaglia. He's an Italian-American like you. He was the first professor who taught law. Imagine there is a course called law.
Yes.
At that time, there was no YouTube, there was no videos. You had to buy his book. And I said, this man read Buscaglia? I mean, he taught us a lot of good things. And the first time you had a class called law, and you got credit for it. I mean, why do you think you follow his steps, or you like him?
Well, like you said, you had to read his books. I was given that book at a very young age, and I kind of followed his teachings for years. Now you can go on YouTube and see some of his seminars, and he was the first. It took an Italian, George, to be the first to teach love on the college campuses. And like I am telling you and the community, I'm going to be the first. It's going to take an Italian to come back and teach officers love, teach the community's love of how to connect with one another. I think that a lot of distance has been made with police officers and the community. Why? Because first, police officers have to learn how to love themselves again. They can't be that fish in a fishbowl looking out into society. They have to be part of society again. Officers have the highest divorce rate. Out of any profession out there, police officers have the highest divorce rate. Officer has to learn, again, how to love himself, how to love the people he's working with. Then he can go home and love his family. And from there, then he can learn how to love the community again and get respect by giving respect.
But all this is very beautiful. What you're saying, you speak beautifully. But you have to be romantic but practical. Because if you're only romantic, you're dumb. But if you're only practical, you're a machine. How are you going to do that? Because you have to be nice to the community, but you have to be tough with the criminals. How do you plan to do that?
Well, George, and I'm not just talking about the ladies, but I'm considered Sheriff Amore. That's one of my nicknames that they're calling me at these town hall meetings and stuff.
Yeah, just
the love sheriff. And just because we're out there, you know, I go to a class in the police, and they teach us the first hour how to handcuff people, how to hog tie people. Imagine that, how to hog tie a person. A hog is a pig. How to hog tie somebody like a pig. And then you go out there, and they teach you how to hit a dummy for 4 hours with an asp. And then they send you out, okay, here's your certification, you're done, go to the shooting range, boom. Now you're released into the community like demons into the night. We need to also have a class of love, of family values, of religion. People don't have to be religious, but they can have that inner being, their inner self. I want to bring a class of love, besides all the tactical classes, a class of love to the police department. How can we start loving our officers? They're going to scenes, they're going to homicide scenes, they're going to seeing children shot, being raped, they're going to car accidents. And then you know what they do? They check back into service and they go to another call. They only have debriefings if it's a major crime scene incident, a SWAT call out. I was a hostage negotiator for years, a hostage call out. Then they'll have a debriefing. But we need to have every individual, not just if they're involved in a shooting, be cleared by a psychologist. Have that little sit down before they can return back to work. That's showing love to our officers. You see the mental illness that's going on with officers and the suicide rate throughout the U.S. Why? Because the staff is showing no love towards their officers. We send the officer home. He just saw a child being murdered, and now he has to go to the movies with his wife. And his wife is like, why are you acting like that? Why? Why can't we watch Bluey with my grandkids or my kids? He just seen a homicide with a little kid being murdered. Of course he has anger. Unless we show love and we send him to a psychologist for the minor, I'm talking not just minor ones, I'm talking about anything that could have a critical effect on your mind. We need to address it, and we need to show love to these officers.
I told a very good friend of mine that I was going to interview you. Did he have anything to say or anything to ask? And he told me, ask Mr. Giordano. I have the question right here. I can read it for you. How do you view the Cubans, Haitians, Latin Americans, Europeans, Asians, Jews, and the Middle Eastern community that are coming to live in Miami? Do you have a good relationship with them?
Well, George, we have pretty much 1,500 people a day coming to Florida, coming to Dade County. Within 10 years, we're going to have 10 million people coming to Dade County. And they all, what? They all bleed red, like me and you. We're all human beings. I'm married to a Cuban American. I have a mother-in-law that doesn't speak English. It's the greatest thing in the world. I had never had an argument with her in 30-some years. I'm probably the only one. I get along with them great. If I leave Florida, I can only leave for like a week and I'm already getting homesick. We have every restaurant imaginable here with the greatest food in the world. We get along with each other. Other states, you see, they have their communities. They have the Mexicans here. They have the Afro-Americans here. They have the Chinese living in Chinatown. Here, we're all over. We live amongst each other. We know how we're setting an example for the entire United States, how to get along and be together. But with that, there are some bad apples out there, and that's when we're going to cut the line and we're going to show our strength, but we're going to show our love to the community.
Do you know that Miami was the capital of Latin America? All people who were coming from Latin America, first they started the Cubans, then the Central Americans, then came the Argentinians, the Brazilians are coming. You walk the streets, you speak Portuguese, you speak English, the Haitians came, you speak French, you speak everything. But now we're no longer the capital of Latin America. We are the capital of the world because the European came here, the Chinese are coming here. It's like, it's style now. It's like everybody wants to come to Miami now. So which means we're growing fast. How are you going to deal with all those people and keep everybody friendly, happy, not fighting each other?
And the old saying, George, the British are coming as well. But with that, you know, human diversity training plays a key part, not just to have it with police officers, but to have community events. We need to bring, when it's Haitian month, we need to bring into the communities where they could try the Haitian culture, they could try the Haitian food. I was completely surprised on an investigation we did that involved voodoo. And I really didn't realize voodoo is actually a religion, a good religion. There's, of course, bad to everything, but there's a good religion, and I met some good people during this investigation, and they have good belief systems, just like Catholics do, just like the Jewish people do. We have to learn how to get along with everybody, but we have to learn about those cultures. We need more events, not just in downtown, but we need those events to come. I know Lady of Lebanon has a Lebanese festival. We need to bring those festivals out into the community, and we need to help them promote it and advertise them more. Because what a better thing to bring your child, your grandchild, to an event to learn not just about the cultures of food, but to learn about their upbringing. I'll give you an example. All I saw on TV with the George Floyd thing was, say his name, say his name. In my head, not being educated on that, I'm like, what are these people talking about? That's the stupidest thing in the world. And then I happened to be watching a YouTube video on something totally separate. Was a white guy that had passed away, a white individual, a well-known white individual, and this was years before that, and they were saying, say his name, and then they explained that that's how the black culture remembers a person, by saying their name. And I didn't realize, I'm like, my God, why didn't they explain this instead of showing people yelling, say his name? What was the meaning behind it? But that's a cultural thing. If we understand the culture, we can understand why they're doing actions and doing things. And with that, that's with a lot of different cultures.
In other words, you want us to vote for you. You're telling the public that you're not a divider, but you're a unifier.
I'm a unifier. I am a unifier, 100% unifier.
I see you speak positive about everything. You don't talk bad about anybody. You speak positive. You think that's the new attitude the police should have?
Well, 100%. We have to get along with every culture. My only regret, and I have nothing to do with it, is that they made this race a partisan race, which means you have to show party affiliation to get over the first hump. We're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're here for all the people that live in Miami-Dade County, not just the Republicans, not the Democrats, not the independents. Why they did this is for political reasons, but we are here for everybody. I don't want you to vote for me because I'm a Republican candidate. I want you to vote for me because I'm Jeff Giordano, Sheriff Amori, the one that's going to bring love to the community and the police department, the one that's going to make you feel safe dropping your kids off to school again, the one that's going to make you feel safe when you're walking with your family back to your car after you eat dinner. That's who I want you to vote for.
But one thing, one question. You also said that you were Bukele. Bukele is the president of El Salvador, who's changing the country. Everything is wonderful. Everybody wants a Bukele in their country. Why do you think you're the Bukele of Miami?
Well, George, that's not a name that I gave myself. I don't go around stamping my name to being the Bukele. But I went to a meeting, and it was actually in the Haitian community, and I was addressing the residents and citizens, and I told them my platform of what I wanted to do and how I wanted to attack violent crime. And when I left there, they started chanting, Bukele, Bukele, and I didn't even know what the heck they're talking about. I thought they were calling me a name in French Creole, and then I looked, no, Bukele, the president, this is what he did. He attacked violent crime. He attacked the gang members in El Salvador. He put the MS-13 gang members to their knees, and that's what I want to do here with the criminals. My platform with correct, with violent crimes is 30% of individuals, when they are put on probation, they go back and they commit a violent crime. So you have violent criminals committing violent crimes over and over again. What I want to do is I'm going to have a task force that consists of not only deputies, but probation officers. And did you know, George, when you're on probation, you're giving up your civil rights? If you're housing someone that's on probation, you're giving up your civil rights. We're going after the bad guys. We're going to do unannounced searches in their houses, and we are going to make sure that they are not violating their probation. And if they don't have any weapons, they don't have any drugs, they don't have any knives, that they can hurt people, they don't have any plans to go out there and hurt people, then welcome to society. We'll help you and assist you. But we're going after these violent criminals. If they're violating probation before they can commit another crime, they're going back to jail.
Well, another thing which is very important that my friends asked me to talk to you about, it is, people are afraid to drive now. Speeding is a big thing. There are a bunch of new people, young people, people from other countries, from other cities that coming to Miami, and they're always speeding. And now, what I read in the newspapers, and everybody can read them too, there are more accidents than crimes with rifles and with guns. There are more car accidents. It's very bad. People are very scared. It's traffic everywhere. Well, you go in US 1 and there's an accident and that blocks the traffic for 3 hours. What are you going to do about that?
Well, George, I wish I could come out. I go to these town halls with other candidates, and I hear somebody from the crowd ask one of the sheriff candidates and say, what are you going to do about the teenagers putting bubble gum on the rails, the handrails of, we're going to come up with the biggest bubble gum task force there is. We're not going to allow that. In other words, they have answers for everything. Unfortunately, in Dade County, we're always going to have speeders. doesn't mean we're not addressing them. We're doing radar. You have to call and you have to complain because there is speeding going on in your residential neighborhood and we don't know about it. Just call us. We'll do a radar there. We might, unfortunately, it's displacing maybe the speeding from here to another street. Why? You have a lot of these kids that, you know, fortunately, Florida is a town and a state with a lot of money. And you have a lot of people coming from other countries going to college down here on their mommy and daddy's dime. And they love to speed. They have Ferraris. They have, I don't need to go to a car show. I could just go down Southwest A Street or Biscayne Boulevard, and I could see a Rolls Royce, a Ferrari, Lexuses, Mercedes, any car. But you know what happens when these kids get a speeding ticket? Mommy or daddy pays for the attorney. They go to court. There's no consequences with these kids. We need to come up with some kind of consequences for not just speeding, but minor crimes. Not just send them to a class, but bring them aboard. I wish we could do that. It's not that easy. But, you know, we have to kind of manage of prioritize crimes. And obviously they're probably speeding at nighttime because I can't even go down Biscayne Boulevard without waiting 20 minutes from one to another. Exactly. There's a lot of programs that we could do, but I highly believe traffic and move on. We have to look at this in a different platform. So what I want to do is pretty much like the traffic light cameras. The traffic light cameras, you don't need an officer to witness that. It's a camera that takes a picture. So why are we stopping vehicles, other than if it's an investigative stop, maybe it matches a bolo, maybe you think these people are going to commit a robbery. Why are we stopping a car for 10, 20, 30 minutes and issuing a ticket blocking traffic when we can have the technology? We drive by, take a picture of you, George, take your tag, I could put your thing in the mail and give you a ticket.
That's what they do in Brazil. It's working
Yes.
fine. Everybody's afraid.
Yes.
You get a ticket in the mail. It's
Then
working great in Brazil.
these speeders, they're going to think twice and say, shoot, I don't have to see a police officer to speed. Maybe that police officer is in the car next to me because I already got a ticket. And when they see that these tickets can come from anywhere, they're going to start behaving a little bit. It's changing the culture.
No, it's important to do it in Brazil.
It's changing the culture.
When I drive in Brazil, I'm afraid too.
But it's not like, you know, we're going to go out there immediately and address that. Because like I said, everybody has an issue. Everybody has something. Yes, we'll address it, but call with your complaints. We'll help you. We'll sit down at the table. And it's finding out the needs of the community. The needs of your community might be different with speeders than it is of another community that might be experiencing car break-ins. So we have to make the community and get them involved with the police department to find out their needs, and we have to be a need-driven agency.
Well, one other thing I wanted to talk about, you know, India has the biggest population in the world, 1,500,000,000, almost 1,600,000,000. So how do you control a country like that if you're the chief of police? What they do in India, the police officers, they're friends with the community. So they know all the bad guys, they know everything which is happening there, so they prevent. They don't have to arrest so much, they don't have to shoot so much, they don't have, because they become good friends with the people in the community, and that's how they keep crime low in India. Are you willing to do the same thing? Imitate, to study what the Indians do and do like that?
Well, believe it or not, they were actually the pioneers of community policing and studying their cultures and what they do with the police that they have there. That was brought to the U.S. years ago. And I was the pioneer of community policing with the city of Miami. And that program has gotten far above a lot of other police departments. Community policing is the key. Like I said, empowering the community, finding out their needs. But also I want my officers to know, and I mentioned at a town hall, every homeless person in that area, if I get in the car with you, you better know that homeless guy's name that's here every night on the corner, because he's a human being just like everybody else. You have to show him that you know he's a human being. Maybe I want to go by. This is our sheriff, Jim, whatever your name is. That officer, that zone officer, better know who that is. Everyone that has a crime, I don't care how small, I don't care if there's no leads, they have to get contacted by a police officer at our station. There could be 1,000 car break-ins a week in Dade County, and there's probably even more, but each one has to be called. Yeah, this is just to let you know, we're going to address your concerns. We might not catch because we have no leads, but we're passionate to your crime. And by doing that is what you're saying. It's how you get them on your side. We want to bring trust back into the citizens. In order to do that, we have to show affection and love and compassion to the smallest crime.
Everybody knows that a leader should always be gentle but firm. And you said, if I remember well, that you are a man of steel and velvet. What do you mean by that?
Well, those two things, is I'm pretty sure you're aware, that's the pillars of a human being's success. And what we mean by strength is power, professionalism, eagerness, and what we mean by velvet is compassion, being able to understand an individual. So we want a department that's made of deputies, that is not just made of steel, the strength, the power that we're going to show the criminals that are violating the law, but we also want the community to know our deputies are made of velvet. Deputies that are made of velvet, you can come to us. We're going to show you compassion. We're going to help you with your child that might not be following your direction, and we're going to sit down with you as a group, as a family together. There's a good old saying, and that's out there, and I believe it has to do with steel and velvet, and that's basically the saying that I had mentioned, and that's, we want to show power to these criminals, but we want to show understanding and compassion to the citizens. I know you're aware of that sheriff that was dressing people in pink and putting pink tents and all that kind of stuff with these bad guys. To me, that's not showing compassion. We're going to arrest you and we're going to be firm, but we're also going to show compassion and try to find out what brought you to this point to commit these hideous crimes. Is there something we can mitigate so this don't happen again? But we have to treat these criminals with respect, not humility. We don't want to embarrass them. We want to give them respect. And maybe next time that criminal, instead of punching a police officer, maybe he's going to help that officer on the street. Hey, that's the guy that arrested me. I'm out of jail. But that's also the guy that they're trying to jump. They're trying to shoot this officer. They're trying to hurt him. It's one officer against 5 guys. I'm going to help that officer now. You know why? Because he treated me with respect and dignity as a human being when I was arrested. And that's what we mean by steel and velvet.
But you know, the community and the people of the country know that a real man, a man who is strong, is always nice, kind, doesn't have to show off and play the macho man all the time, like I see a lot of politicians do. They're always ready to go to war. They're always ready to go for a fight. They're always ready to use their guns. We don't want that. We want you to use your gun. This is the last resort. We want you to solve things without the guns.
Well, we don't want a sheriff's office made of muscleheads. We need sheriff's deputies that are strong but compassionate. For many years, for 10 years, I had a martial arts school. I'm a 3rd-degree black belt in American Kempo Karate. I trained with Manny Reyes in Hialeah for many years as a child, and I truly believe in the martial arts because it's an outlet. God only knows as a child, I grew up in Hialeah, what I might have turned into were drugs or anything that I could have went in, but it gave me a focus, a focal point, whether it's football, baseball, you have to get involved in a sport. But martial arts, George, it gave me strength to know what I could do if I have to do it. And by knowing what I could do, that person on the other end sees the confidence. And we teach that to people in the streets. If you show confidence when you're walking, walk tall, you're not going to become a victim. That's what we need to teach our officers.
That philosophy, I also was a judoka. But one of the things that I think is important, I want to know, will you make it mandatory for all the police officers to study the martial arts? They can choose jiu-jitsu, judo, karate, whatever they want. But will you make it mandatory for every police officer to go and facilitate the opening of martial arts school for kids, for everybody?
Well, currently, police departments has the police athletic league. They teach the boxing. They teach everything else. It's not just, yes, officers need to know self-defense, But that one class a year is not giving him the confidence they need. We need monthly training, and then they can have the confidence to move forward. But it's not just teaching officers how to punch and kick, just like it's not just teaching officers how to shoot and how to handcuff people. It's the philosophy behind the martial arts, the discipline, the respect that you get, the listening to your instructors. Exactly, the encouragement. That's what we need to teach the officers, not just kicking and punching the martial arts. We need to bring that in, but we need to bring in the discipline portion, the respect portion. That's what's going to make good officers. That's what's going to make good kids in our inner city.
I'm very satisfied with the interview. I'm very happy with it. I'm not going to tell anybody how to vote, but after listening to you, I think the public, people of Miami will know how to vote. They will choose how to vote.
Well, George, unlike you, I am going to tell people how to vote. Just imagine that when you were a teenager in class or school, that you had one of the tests that you took, and you had one of the most important tests of your life at that time that you had to pass, whether it was in law school, the Florida bar, and you say, only if I had the answer to that question. Well, the citizens of Miami-Dade County are going to be faced August 20th with one of the biggest tests that they're going to have. And I'm going to give you the answer to that test. The answer is Jeffrey Giordano for sheriff. Miami-Dade Sheriff Giordano, number4sheriff.com. Unfortunately, George, there's another Paisan, Giordano, running for sheriff, I think, in St. Lucie County, and he stole all my social media things, so we're actually using Gotham Investigations, where I've already had a platform on, and it's Giordano, the number4sheriff.com. Every little penny counts. I hope you like my answers to your questions, and I'm a doer. I'm not just a sayer, and like I said, the other candidates, I think we are all out there for a good cause and a good purpose. You have a lot of great candidates out there. We just have different directions of how we want to bring the county. Thank you, and hopefully I see you on the campaign trail.